patriotic organization. Would you accompany me in pledge allegiance to the United States of America? Present arms! Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two. Please be seated. You know, when you get told you're an MC, when you walk in the door, you're going to make a goof up every now and then. And then my teeth are starting to fall out, so I'm really getting goofy. But I want to welcome everybody to VFW Post 4876, Altus, Oklahoma. For those of you who don't know this post, it is the second largest post in the state of Oklahoma. And we're always looking for membership. You hear that, Honor Guard? We're looking for membership. Okay. We do have some dignitaries here that have came in here. First of all, we have our Altus Air Force Base Honor Guard. They came out for this festivities. We will thank them for coming out. Appreciate it. We also have the Oklahoma State Patrol. I understand you're accompanying them all over the state of Oklahoma. Thank you for doing that. We also have the incoming state commander for the Veterans of Foreign War, Coral Porch. Coral informed me that she's going to meet you guys up in Lawton tomorrow and run a mile or two with you. Okay? So we got that. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anybody I'm working with. By the way, I've got to introduce myself. I'm Ken Pike. I'm past state commander of the Department of Oklahoma. I'm also the current 15th district commander of the state of Oklahoma. So, and that. At this time, let me introduce Joe Roman, this post commander of VFW Post 4876.
Good afternoon, good evening. As Comrade Pike said, I'll just touch base on what he said. Oklahoma State Highway Patrol, thank you guys for coming out on short notice. Thank you for taking care of our Gold Star families and their runners. Honor Guard, it's always a privilege for you guys to come out. You guys always at short notice. Coral Porch, our incoming state commander. I know you're driving all over the place. Thank you for coming out. All our VFW members. But most importantly, we have two Gold Star families in our presence today. I don't know if you've got, I'm going to go ahead and recognize you by name if you don't want to, I'm sorry. But we have Augie and Paulette Martoni. Have Mr. George Lutz. If some of you here don't know what a Gold Star family member is, I'll go ahead and touch base on that. Both of these families have lost a loved one, if I'm not mistaken, a son each in a combat zone. So if you don't get a chance, make it a point to get over and shake their hand and let them know who you are. It's an honor to have you guys here. That really touches home for me and a lot of our veterans to have you guys out here. Your sacrifice that you've given, nobody can repay you. Like I said, it's an honor to have you here. And I know it was short notice. When I got called, I know Coral put in the word, and with our parade going on, it was touch and go, but we had to, once I heard what was going on, I heard Gold Star family members, and I just put it in high gear. I am the baby of the family out here. 661 members. Actively, I'm the baby. But I got a lot of drive, and that's what I do, but I couldn't do it without my guys here. Comrade Rick Willie in the back, the guy in the flight suit. We got Mr. Doug, our comrade Doug Winters, Josh Wilburn. Who else do I got here? We got our auxiliary president, Madam Dora Sargent. She's at my side almost 24/7. I couldn't do it without you, Dora. Thank you. And auxiliary, where we at? We've got Miss Shelley Winters. We've got a few in the kitchen. I know Candace is in there. Ms. D, this is Kenny Pike's wife. We've got lots of auxiliary out here. I'm sorry if I don't catch you by name. I'm going to try to keep it really short here. Sorry. I appreciate you guys coming out. Right now I'm going to introduce a gentleman I've already introduced, and they're going to go through their ceremony. When they do their ceremony, if you guys can turn your cell phones off or turn them on silent, please, when I do this. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. George Lutz so we can get your ceremony going.
I will tell you, there's nothing that warms us more than, to be welcomed by those who serve our country in a really spectacular way. And this is our first introduction to Oklahoma, so thank you. Thank you guys for meeting us at the border. What a welcome sight that was, to have you waiting and waving, as we drove by. But it means a lot, believe me, because we've been traveling now for 47 days. And this is our 7th state, I believe. And I think that some of the states, we didn't see any law enforcement at all. I mean, they'd wave at us, but as they went by, and it was like, okay, we see you, but they weren't engaged or participating. So it means a lot, it really does, to know that you have our backs, and it's important to our safety as well, as you know. So. The road conditions are unrelentless, out there, and motorists do not care what's on the road. They just, they go. And sometimes as we're running and carrying flags, we're, blown around the road on the road, and it's just not good sometimes. But we have a mission, and what is that mission? The mission. Let me start. I'm not going to talk too long, but I got to put a context together for you. 10 years ago, on Memorial Day of 2008, we formed an organization called Honor and Remember. And the Honor and Remember organization was founded to bring a public symbol of remembrance to the nation so that there was a way for the general public, not the veterans and the active duty, a way for the general public to show their appreciation for our fallen military. And so the Honor and Remember flag was established on Memorial Day of 08. So just right around the corner is our 10th anniversary. So fast forward, we throughout the years are focused on making sure that those that served and died in the military are never forgotten. Obviously those who are in uniform or have served, they get it. Many of them have lost friends or lost comrades or neighbors, but most of this country did not. 90+% of this country, they don't understand what sacrifice means. They don't understand what it means to serve this country in the way that you all have. And so our goal was to reach not the choir, but to reach the population of the United States that really doesn't have a clue. And that's why we established the organization. It's to bring perpetual remembrance to the nation. And so one of the ways that we found to do that is by doing runs, or state run for the fallens. And we've been doing that for about 6 years in a number of states around the country. And we thought what happened was also 10 years ago, and I'm a little disjointed, sorry about that. But 2 weeks after we formed the Honor and Remember organization, a gentleman who lost his college roommate, his name was John Bologna, he wanted to do something. He was a runner. And so 2 weeks on Flag Day of '08, 2 weeks after our organization started, he put together a run across America called Run for the Fallen. And so he personally and a handful of people decided that they were going to put a route together and run across America, which they did in 72 days. And they ran about 4,000 miles in 72 days for about 3,800 casualties, battle casualties at that time. And so John and I became friends. We merged our organizations together, and this year, 2018, became the 10th anniversary of both organizations. So 2 years ago, we decided that we needed to do it again. We needed to run across America because back in '08, there was 3,800. Now, as we did our research, we have come to a compilation of over 20,000 who have given their lives while serving, whether it be in training, whether it be by accident, whether it be in combat. So while serving or as a result of serving, because we've also included the hidden wounds of PTSD. So if someone through service-related incidences lost their lives after they got out, then we included them as well. And so this gave us a very large number, 20,000, far more than 3,800 10 years ago. Because we wanted this to be the most comprehensive fallen veteran tribute ever conceived. We wanted this to be so big that it would rock the nation in terms of awareness and let people know that we are going to remember each one of those who kept us safe in contemporary society. So we went back to October 12th, 2000, and took every single name, working with the DOD, to present day, and we're still adding names, even now, we're still adding names, and we are running started on April 7th in California, and we're obviously still running. We're gonna run until we get to Arlington National Cemetery on August the 5th. So we're still running all the way to August through 19 states for 5 months, over 6,000 miles. So we've taken those 20,000, and we couldn't run 20,000 miles. I mean, we would be running and running and running, all the rest of this year and into next. So we had to figure out a way to best honor each one of these men and women in a manageable way. So what we did was we compiled them into their dates of death. So every single hero that we honor has a unique day of death. So one person may have died on that day, or 50 may have died on that day. And we have had miles of over 50. And we've had many miles of over 20 that died on one single day. And every day that someone died is a mile for us. We have run 2,158 miles already. So that's, if you follow my logic, 2,158 dates of death, okay? And so, as we call them, what we're doing is we're running for 8 to 12 hours a day, every single day. We start at 7 a.m. and we run till we're done, depending on those miles for those days. We're running about 6 miles an hour. And every mile we stop and we have a mini ceremony. And that ceremony consists of coming to attention, acknowledging Gold Star families, reading the date of death, and then the names on that date of death, and then planting flags in the ground for each name, a set of flags for each name. Sometimes that is a lot of flags. We plant an Honor and Remember flag and a U.S. flag. And then we come back, we do a hand salute, and then we pick up the next placard. We're actually carrying the names with us. The runners are carrying the names of the next mile so that we know the date that we're running for and we know the heroes that we're running for. And that happens mile after mile, day after day. Today alone, this was our 47th day of running. Okay, 47 days. I told you the number of miles we ran. But today we ran 50 miles. Okay, 50 miles are what? 50 dates of death, right? So today we ran for 50 dates of death. And those 50 dates accounted for 274 of our servicemen and women. 274 over 50 days. And those dates included January 3rd to February 24th of 07. That's all. That's all we ran for today. So you can see the impact of what it is that we're accomplishing. No one has ever tried or attempted to put together such a huge undertaking. And you can imagine the enormity of organization that it takes to just find a place to eat, and a place to rest, a place that would welcome us, a place where we can feel like home. We've all committed, myself and my team, to 5 months away from home, being deployed ourselves to do what? To do nothing but honor these men and women all across America. And we're not just honoring them because they're not here. They're not here for us to hear us calling their names out loud, but their families are. And we've done enough of getting the word out, and believe me, we need a lot more help in that. That more and more and more families and friends are starting to hear about what we're doing, and they're coming out, and they're finding us. And they're standing on the side of the road, waiting for us to call their loved one's name out loud. One gentleman drove, I can't remember where he drove from, do you remember? The one who was standing for 5 of his buddies. Anybody remember where he came from?
I'm thinking Alaska.
He came from a long way, and he heard what we were doing, and he found out where we were honoring his friends. And, and he was there. He didn't know where to be exactly, but he found us, and we directed him, and he was there just to hear us call his friends out loud. Same with mothers and fathers all along the way have been with us. That is the impact. They've come from North Carolina, from Pennsylvania, from South Dakota, from California, from Texas, from Minnesota, from Indiana. Thousands of miles. Just think about that. Thousands of miles to be at one spot that they didn't even know where that spot was, but they know we were running, to be at that spot just so that they could hear us call their loved one's name out loud. For 40 seconds. They drove thousands of miles for 40 seconds. Gave us a hug, and then went home. That's all they wanted to do, because it was that important to them. So what we're doing sometimes may just seem like a list of names. But to those who love them, each one of those names is a powerful, powerful force of remembrance. Because it's said that a person can die twice. I know you've heard this before. You can die a physical death, but the last time that someone calls your name is really when you're gone. And so as an organization, we believe that it's important that everyone who gave their life in service to this country should never be forgotten. And as part of our ceremony every night, whether we're by ourselves in a parking lot or in a crowded room, is to read the names of all of those that we ran for that particular day. We've read them, we've heard them, and there may have been only been a few of us at that marker. We want to make sure that those names are not forgotten. And so we take the time. I think the most names that we've read is 378, I believe, was the most in one day in a 2-month period. It was a horrible day, window. Tonight we have 274. It's going to take a few minutes, as you can imagine. It's not something that is gone in a few seconds. And sometimes listening to names is uncomfortable. We don't want to put anybody, in an uncomfortable position. But these are men and women who gave their lives that deserve to be heard. And each one of them has a family, right? They've got a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister or an uncle, or there's somebody out there who, if they were in this room and heard their name called out loud, they would stand up proudly. Or they'd shout, hoorah, or you get it. But they're not here. You're here. You get to hear their names. And so as we're reading those names, I want you to think about the fact that you are standing in for these families, for every one of them. And it may be that this is the last time that some of these names may be read out loud. It very much well could be. I don't know. But we're for darn sure going to call them out and recognize them. And so I'm going to ask the team to come forward. I know the color guard is going to help us. And my run team, whoever's going to read. You're going to read with them? It's going to be you with them? And forgive us if pronunciation is a little off because we're not familiar with a lot of names. So we do our best. And when you're ready.
Sergeant First Class Derek Cottrell Brent Sr., United States Army. Airman First Class Sean Akio Motoshigi, United States Air Force. Sergeant Kevin Wayne Mayhew, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Charles D. Allen, United States Army. Private Second Class Brian Patrick McCoy, United States Army. Major Michael Lewis Mundell, United States Army. Private First Class Wayne Jamal Webb, United States Army. Specialist James Robert Scott Geiger, United States Army. Corporal Jeremiah Jewel Johnson, United States Army. Private First Class Dustin Keith Rainbolt, United States Army. Private Second Class Luke William Anderson, United States Army. Specialist Raymond N. Mitchell III, United States Army. Lance Corporal Christoph L. Clark, United States Marine Corps. Senior Airman Daniel B. Miller, United States Air Force. Corporal Stephen J. Raderstorff, United States Army. Sergeant Kimberly Lynn Granado, United States Army. Corporal Eric T. Caldwell, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Gilbert Randall Penland, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Gloria Grace Devery, United States Air Force. Senior Airman Elizabeth A. Lomke, United States Air Force. Technical Sergeant Timothy R. Wiener, United States Air Force. Petty Officer First Class Marquis Roshan Polidor, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Alberto Prieto, United States Army. Private First Class Brian Matthew Williams, United States Army. Corporal Justin Lewis Childs, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Second Class Wayne Lee Collins, United States Navy. Specialist Breon Lamont McDade, United States Army. Private Carlos Deshay Jenkins, United States Army. Sergeant James M. Wasika Jr., United States Army. Private First Class Ryan R. Berg, United States Army. Private First Class Ming Sun, United States Army. Private First Class Benito Cordova Quintana, United States Army. Private Thomas Michael Kohler, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Gregory A. Wright, United States Army. Petty Officer Third Class Takuma John Heath, United States Navy. Sergeant Robert Clark Redus IV, United States Army. Private Second Class Eric Michael Patrick, United States Army. Sergeant Andrew Charles Steele, United States Army. Sergeant Paul T. Sanchez, United States Army. Sergeant James D. Requena, United States Army. Senior Airman Jordanis Michael McElroy Ramirez, United States Air Force. Petty Officer Second Class Joseph Stanley Dancer, United States Navy. Specialist Jason J. Corbett, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Mark J. Daly, United States Army. Sergeant Ian C. Anderson, United States Army. Corporal Matthew T. Grimm, United States Army. Seaman Michael Travis Porter, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Mark Thomas Van Horn, United States Navy. Specialist Colin R. Shockmel, United States Army. Corporal Jonathan J. Schultz, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Luciano Thomas Reyes, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Jennifer A. Valdivia, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Joseph D. Alomar, United States Navy. Specialist Jared Anthony Reed, United States Army. Corporal William J. Rechenmacher, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Russell P. Borea, United States Army. Corporal Jacob H. Neal, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Lance Corporal Luis J. Castillo, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Major Michael V. Taylor, United States Army. Sergeant First Class John G. Brown, United States Army. Sergeant Jonathan P. C. Kingman, United States Army. Private First Class Jonathan Miles Milliken, United States Army. Specialist Jeffrey D. Bison, United States Army. Sergeant Philip D. McNeil, United States Army. Corporal Victor M. Langarica, United States Army. Specialist Jonathan Brian Chisholm, United States Army. First Lieutenant Jacob N. Fritz, United States Army. Specialist Toby R. Olsen, United States Army. Private Sean Patrick Falter, United States Army. Colonel Brian D. Allgood, United States Army. Private First Class Ryan J. Hill, United States Army.
Sergeant Sean P. Fanerty, United States Army. Private First Class Alan B. James, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Daryl Demetrio Booker, United States Army, National Guard. First Sergeant William T. Warren, United States Army, National Guard. Sergeant Major Marilyn L. Gabbard, United States Army, National Guard. Command Sergeant Major Roger W. Haler, United States Army, National Guard. Captain Sean E. Lyerly, United States Army, National Guard. Colonel Paul M. Kelly, United States Army, National Guard. Lieutenant Colonel David C. Kanagata, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Floyd E. Lake, United States Army National Guard. Petty Officer First Class William Barrett Kirchie, United States Navy. Corporal Darrell J. Morris, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Private First Class Valerie Roya Gamboa, United States Army. Sergeant Erwin Apollo Calamesa, United States Army. Master Sergeant Shelby Lee Warren, United States Army. Specialist Brandon L. Stout, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Cleveland Adam Flanagan, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Emilian D. Sanchez, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Andrew G. Mattis, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Jamie D. Wilson, United States Army. Specialist Nicholas P. Brown, United States Army. Chief Master Sergeant Dale Lee Goodwin, United States Air Force. Corporal Juan Felipe Montalano, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Second Class Edwin Nathaniel Saunders, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Michael J. Wiggins, United States Army. Sergeant Michael M. Kashkush, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Gary S. Johnston, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Ryan Charles Rogers, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Hector Leah, United States Army. Specialist Clayton Leroy Edstrom III, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Keith A. Callahan, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Kevin Timothy Forster, United States Army. Private First Class Michael Balsley, United States Army. Sergeant Alexander H. Fuller, United States Army. Private First Class Darrell W. Ship, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Scott Allen Semzak, United States Air Force. Corporal Mark D. Kidd, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Corporal Vince Edwards Mitchell, United States Army. Major Jeffrey Allen Stewart, United States Army. Private First Class Nathan P. Fairley, United States Army. Master Sergeant Jesse Ray Birchfield, United States Air Force. Major Alan R. Johnson, United States Army Reserve. Petty Officer First Class Corey James Hellman, United States Navy. Lieutenant Adam Arthur Dyer, United States Navy. Lieutenant Junior Grade Laura Jean Mankey, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Christopher Martin Will, United States Navy. Sergeant Michael D. Garrigus, United States Army. Sergeant First Class John B. St. John II, United States Army. Private First Class David T. Tumalate, United States Army. Corporal Timothy A. Swanson, United States Army. Specialist Brian Glenn Reasoner, United States Army. Lance Corporal Anthony C. Melia, United States Marine Corps. Chief Warrant Officer Second Class Cornell C. Chow, United States Army. Captain Mark T. Resch, United States Army. Specialist Carla Jane Stewart, United States Army Reserve. Petty Officer First Class Joshua Lee Champagne, United States Navy. Sergeant Kevin Nelson Richardson, United States Army. Lance Corporal Adam Pugh Emmel, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Brandon Lane Long, United States Navy. Specialist Randy Lee Rabe, United States Army. Master Sergeant Christopher Luis Pomado, United States Army. Sergeant Milton A. Gist Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Corey J. Altz, United States Army. Staff Sergeant David Allen Triggers, United States Army. A1C Michael Alexander McDonald, United States Air Force.
Sergeant Alejandro Carrillo, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Ethan C. Hertler, United States Marine Corps Reserves. Petty Officer Third Class Keith Justin Griffin, United States Navy. Sergeant James Leroy Ashley Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Roy Porter II, United States Army. Sergeant William M. Segua, United States Army. Private Second Class Joseph Dominic Castaneda III, United States Army. Master Sergeant Eric Hans Einen, United States Air Force. Corporal Stephen D. Shannon, United States Army Reserves. Corporal David C. Armstrong, United States Army. Specialist Eric R. Seeger, United States Army. Sergeant Major Michael C. Matil, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Terry Gale Rice, United States Army. Private First Class Tyler Butler, United States Army. Corporal Richard O. Quill III, United States Marine Corps. Gunny Sergeant Terry J. Elliott, United States Marine Corps. Hospitalman Matthew C. Conte, United States Navy. Specialist Alan E. McPeak, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer Second Class Keith Yoakum, United States Army. Captain Kevin C. Landek, United States Army. Private Matthew T. Zamer, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer Second Class Jason Garth Dufresne, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Terrence D. Dunn, United States Army. Specialist Dustin Christopher Quinn, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Ronnie L. Sanders, United States Army. Private Jason Matthew Sandbach, United States Army. Private Clarence T. Spencer, United States Army. Airman Michael Jiwan Biles, United States Air Force. Sergeant Randy J. Matheny, United States Army National Guard. Master Sergeant Vincent Clifford Wright, Sergeant Adam Joseph Toffelson, United States Army. Master Sergeant Vincent Clifford Wright, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Brandon J. Van Paris, United States Marine Corps. Private Second Class Corey James McCann, United States Army. Specialist Clarence Butler Jr., United States Army. Private First Class Brian A. Browning, United States Army. Sergeant Joshua J. Fraser, United States Marine Corps. First Lieutenant Jared M. Landaker, United States Marine Corps. Captain Jennifer J. Harris, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Jennifer M. Parcel, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Thomas E. Saba, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Major Joseph J. Ellis, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant James Rodney Tiarina, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Travis D. Feaster, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Terrell B. Hill, United States Marine Corps Reserves. Lance Corporal Matthew P. Pathanos, United States Marine Corps Reserves. Petty Officer Third Class Manuel A. Ruiz, United States Navy. Petty Officer First Class Gilbert Minhares Jr., United States Navy. Specialist Melinda Devia, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Barbara Faye Howell, United States Army. Specialist Ross A. Clevenger, United States Army Reserves. Sergeant James J. Holtum, United States Army Reserves. Private Raymond M. Warner, United States Army Reserves. Staff Sergeant Alan Wayne Shaw, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Eric Ross, United States Army. Corporal Leroy Apatang Camacho, United States Army. Sergeant James Regan, United States Army. Lieutenant Jeb Stewart Carver, United States Navy. Private Second Class Christopher James Kaufman, United States Army. Captain Donnie R. Belzer Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Long N. Nguyen, United States Army. Senior Airman Larry Ray Davis Jr., United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Joaquin Gomez Jr., United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Andrew Norman Toney, United States Army. Sergeant Russell A. Kurtz, United States Army. Sergeant Robert B. Thrasher, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Frederick James Dwebers, United States Army. Specialist Dennis L. Sellen Jr., United States Army National Guard.
Petty Officer Second Class Laquita Kate James, United States Navy. Private Brian Keith Murphy, United States Army. Private First Class Nicholas A. Tanton, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Alan Mastiero, United States Army. Specialist Dwayne Joel Amos, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Larry Dean Sathoff Jr., United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Carl Leonard Siegert, United States Army. Specialist Ronnie G. Medor Jr., United States Army. Private First Class Brandon C. Cummings, United States Army. Staff Sergeant John D. Rode, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Carlton Lemmy Briscoe, United States Army. Private Second Class Joshua Eli Banks, United States Army. Corporal Cody Ryan Wanerick, United States Marine Corps. Captain Todd M. Siebert, United States Marine Corps. Private Second Class Kyle William Nord, United States Army. Private First Class Chad E. Marsh, United States Army. Private First Class Justin T. Patton, United States Army. A1C Gina Bray Walton, United States Air Force. Specialists Christopher K. Boone, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class William C. Spillers, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Hernan Felipe Ramirez, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Corporal Brian A. Escalante, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Matthew S. Apuan, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer Second Class Herschel D. McCants Jr., United States Army. Private First Class Christopher D.S. Thomas, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Adam A. Wilkinson, United States Army. Specialist Brandon D. Gordon, United States Army. Specialist Travis R. Vaughn, United States Army. Private First Class Ryan C. Garbs, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer Second Class John A. Quinlan, United States Army. Private Kelly D. Youngblood, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Scott E. Duffman, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Corporal Blake H. Howie, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Adair W. Cleveland, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Pedro J. Cullen, United States Army. Specialist Montrell S. McCarn, United States Army. Private First Class Matthew C. Bowe, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Sean M. Duncan, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Buddy J. Huey, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Eric Esteban Rydeen, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Brett Wedevin, United States Marine Corps Reserve. Chief Petty Officer John Mark Westfield, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Curtis Lee Harper, United States Army. Specialist Louis G. Kim, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Richard L. Ford, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Brian Jason Rand, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Clinton W. Alquist, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Robert Jean Diablo, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Michael R. Back, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Brian Lee Davis, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Dane Justin Garcia, United States Army. Private First Class Jason D. Johns, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Cindy Ruth Wilson, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Commander Andrew Dennis Lamoury, United States Navy. Specialist Christopher Allen Kahn, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Brad Alexander Savoda, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Joshua R. Hager, United States Army. Private First Class Rowan D. Walter, United States Army. Private First Class Travis Wayne Buford, United States Army. Staff Sergeant David R. Berry, United States Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Jerome Lee King, United States Army. Master Sergeant Roy Kevin Castor, United States Air Force. PFC George Louis Beltran, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Eric Sean Mall, United States Marine Corps. Private Second Class Charles Darren Yates, United States Army. Specialist Ethan J. Biggers, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jeremy D. Barnett, United States Army. And Tech Sergeant Stephen John Werner, United States Air Force.
Lance Corporal Jeffrey Robert Fisher, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant William Joseph Pascal, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer Second Class Dennis Charles Hybeck Jr., United States Navy.
274 names. in less than 2 months. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? Before we close, although we're running for the 20,000 service members from October 12th forward, 2000, we really are running for all of America's service members, all who gave their lives, regardless of generation. And even though we might not have called a particular name out loud that you might know, before I close, I want to give everyone the opportunity to say the name of someone that they might know. It could be a loved one, it could be a neighbor, it could be a community member, it could be a comrade. It doesn't matter the generation. It could be this time period. It could be Vietnam, Korea, World War II, whatever time period. It doesn't have to be in battle. But if any of you would like to say a name out loud so that we could all honor that individual, I give you that opportunity now before we close. Sometimes the saying of a name can be pretty powerful. So anybody at all, any time in our history, would like to call a name out before we close, just let me know. Yes, sir.
Specialist Joseph L. Lister, U.S. Army.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Marine Gunny Sergeant Jason Davis, 1999 Bosnia.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Douglas Geraldine, Senior Master Sergeant, U.S. Army.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Staff Sergeant Ian Phillips, United States Air Force.
Yeah. Anyone else? Don't be shy. No one else? If we could just take just a moment of silence to reflect on the names of those that we read and ran for today and their families who we represented, and for those names called out today and their friends and family, just take a moment and bow our heads. Amen. Guys, sit down just for a second. I want to thank you, Commander, again for having us here, and all those who prepared the food tonight. Thank you so much for giving up your time and volunteering and picking it up and preparing it and everything that it took to make it special for us. And for those that put the flags out and welcomed us, I know that was a Herculean effort, and you had to rally the troops to make it happen in a short amount of time. And on behalf of my team, please, all my team, just raise your hand. My run team, we are so grateful for your hospitality. It means more than you can imagine. As weary as we get, day after day to make this work. So thank you so much. And so we honor you. We honor you guys. One last thing, people always ask us, do we have stuff? Yeah, we do have stuff. If anybody's interested in shirts or we have some other things, please. It takes resources for us to get from one place to another. We've had 9 flat tires in the last 45 days, alone, and a couple of other mishaps. And so, it takes a lot for us to, to get from here to there every single day. So, if we have something that you'd be interested in, please see us, or just drop $1 into a bucket for a piece of gas. But thank you again, Commander, and I turn it back to you.
Let's get it there, brother. I just want to share something with you guys. Sorry. I was asked to do this, last Friday. Last Friday. I was trying to figure out how do you honor a Gold Star family member? And hit the nail right on the head by what you just did. Never in my life, my 38 years, it's not very long, but have I ever witnessed something like that. So that's an experience for me, and as long as I'm in the VFW, I'll carry that for the rest of my life. So thank you. For those that follow us on our Facebook page, Memorial Day is coming up, and it just happened. You guys just showed up on our doorstep really close to Memorial Day, so it just makes us a little bit more special place. I sat up real late, like normal, like most of us do, and I jotted something down, and it was kind of personal for me, so I'm just going to read it. And I titled it just Memorial Day. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Any of my comrades here don't notice that yet, but I put down, I said, we wear their names on our wrists. We read their names on the wall. Their names etched into our memories. Their sacrifice forever in our hearts. Memorial Day is a day to remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Our thoughts and prayers are with our Gold Star families and our brothers and sisters who are at rest now. Let us never forget the price they paid so dearly so that others may live free in this country. So come Monday, I ask that you take a moment on Memorial Day and pay respects to our fallen heroes. May they rest in peace. For those that don't know, I put it out probably 20 times now. Our services will be at 1100 hours at the cemetery. I know our honor guard is going to be out there. Thank you. Troopers, you're always invited. You know that. Our door is always open. Followed by lunch here at the post. To our Gold Star family members, we can never repay you for your sacrifice. All we can do is carry on and keep their names in our hearts and continue to do what you do. I know it's hard to keep going. People get complacent, through times, and we wear thin. We do that here at the post. Some of us, I even do it a lot. And kind of flake off, and I tend to go my own route. But I get reeled back in by my brothers and sisters in arms. A lot of them are sitting right here, right now. In their own way, they reel me in. And I know you probably face that at times. It's hard to push forward and keep going with the sacrifices that you've done, and your strength alone is witness to everything you do. So like I said, there's nothing I can say up here that's gonna match your sacrifice. So with that, thank you again. Our Gold Star family members, if my two escorts, when the time comes, let's do it right, okay? Thank you.
That is one heck of a ceremony. One heck of a ceremony. And for the Run for the Fallen, you got it wrong. Don't thank us. We thank you for what you're doing. You're an unsung hero. Guess what? We're going to sing your praise wherever we go. We have a convention that we're going to Oklahoma City. Believe me, we will let them know about this organization and what you were doing and your sacrifice. To the Gold Star parents, yes, you have lost a fallen brother or sister, but you also have a family here. In the military, we are all family. You will always welcome here at this post, anytime you want to come down. Greatly appreciate you all coming out, but I think these guys need to get some bedtime because they're going to be running in the morning. So everybody have a good evening and God bless you.